Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the Infinite Baffle channel. My name is Niall and today is the video that so many of you guys have been asking for, a video around the KEF Q11 Metas, the brand new KEF Q11 Metas. Now, obviously, if you're not aware, it's not obvious at all. On this channel recently we've looked at the KEF Q Concertos, we've looked at the KEF Q7s, and the comment sections were filled with people asking about the 11s. If you do want to see the videos around the other speakers that we've covered in the new KEF Q range, I will put those in the description down below. But again, a massive thank you for the support on those videos and for the support on the late uploaded Audio-Technica LP8X, which went up earlier this week. Again, if you enjoyed this one, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe if you're new in these parts, and yeah, let's get stuck into it. So the KEF Q11 is the reference floor standing speaker from the new Q series range. You can see the speakers that we've got here are in the walnut finish, which means out of all three videos, the Concertos, the 7s and the 11s, you will have seen a sneak preview of all the finishes in effect. The walnut is probably my least favourite, I've got to be completely honest with you. I think I might have mentioned it in the Concerto video, but when I think of KEF speakers, I more often than not think of them in the black and the white finish, particularly the white I'm a big fan of. But I can see why some people would like the walnut. It is something that goes with a lot of people's furniture, so you know, when you're fitting it into your surroundings at home, maybe the walnut would be the finish to go for. But for me, I think that they look the most special, the most futuristic and unique in the white finish personally. Compared to the Q7s that we looked at a couple of weeks ago, they're actually a very similar style of cabinet. They're a little bit chunkier, but I'm still a massive fan of the general shape of them. I think I might have described them as stubby when we spoke about the Q7s, which again sounds like a negative thing, but I don't mean it to be. I just think they're almost like a little bit shorter, a little bit chunkier. It's a design that I'm a really big fan of, I must say. I'll put some of the specifications for the Q11 Meta on the screen for you right now, but if any of you guys want to see them in full, the specifications that is, I will put those in the description down below, as well as a link to the speakers themselves as well. When it comes to the biggest new additions to the Q11s compared to the Q950s, that these are essentially replacing, very similar again to the previous speakers in the range, in the fact that we've got the MAT technology and the Uni-Q driver in there for the first time when it comes to the Q series. Again, I feel like we've covered this so many times, but if you've not seen or you're not aware, the Uni-Q driver is there to essentially make room placement really easy and give you this phenomenal soundstage. And then the MAT technology, which stands for Meta Material Absorption Technology, is effectively there to reduce all the resonance and distortion that comes from the tweeter. And when you put these two things together, they help make this really big, clear, accurate sound, and the Q11s are no exception on that front. They sound absolutely sublime. When it came to listening to the KEF Q11 Metas, we used the trusty Unity Nova that I think we've used in the past like 5 or 6 videos. It's just a great little piece of kit, easy to connect to, puts out a lot of power, great sound, and I think when you're comparing speaker on speaker, it's nice to have that consistency as well, so you can really see the difference that the speaker is making. But yeah, we listened to the Q11 Metas with the Unity Nova. It was really interesting actually, because when we got the delivery of the new Q Meta series, the first speakers that I listened to were the Q7s. I then listened to the Concertos, and then I listened to the Q11s, and honestly, when I listened to the Q11s, it was very difficult to go back to the lower models within the range. Now, if you guys have seen my videos on the 7 and the Concertos, you will know I absolutely love them. I think the quality of the speaker and the sound for the money that you pay for them is absolutely outstanding. The soundstage is absolutely fantastic, especially on the smaller Concerto, where perhaps you would expect it to not fill such a bigger space. I think it's certainly capable of doing that. But when you listen to these Q11s, it is hard to go back. I mean, the staging, the accuracy, the immersion, it is absolutely incredible. And when you think that these are coming in at just shy of £2,000, £1,999 to be precise, again, I feel like KEF are unlocking a whole new level of performance at that kind of price point. I would suspect a lot of people are going to want to know how these Q11s compare to the Q7s that are just below them, and also the Q950s, which they're essentially replacing. Now, if we're comparing it to the Q950s, it's a no-brainer, to be honest with you, because you've got the Uni-Q and MAT in there. it's a massive difference in terms of the clarity of the speakers, the staging of the speakers. That's a huge improvement compared to the previous generation. Absolutely out of the question. These are obviously launching at the same price that the Q950s did at the time, and they are significantly a better speaker. Now, when you're comparing them to the Q7s, this is where it might get a little bit more tricky, because I think if you're someone that's got a smaller room, you're filling in a small space, but you don't want a bookshelf, maybe it's a big enough space to warrant a floor stand up, but still a fairly small space, the Q7 could be absolutely perfect for you. With all that being said, the Q11 Meta is 100% a significantly better speaker than the Q7. There's a couple of reasons why. Firstly, that bigger cabinet just gives it much more room to breathe, as I've already touched upon. Gives you a much bigger sound stage. You really feel like you're being engulfed by the sound. Let me just say before I go any further, this doesn't mean that that's not good on the Q7. The Q7 is a phenomenal speaker, but the Q11 elevates all of that to the next level. But probably the biggest difference that you will notice between the two speakers is the low end. Now again, the low end on the Q7 is great, but the low end on the Q11 is absolutely phenomenal. Now, if you watched the video on the Q7s, I inserted a clip where we played some royalty-free music to try and give you a feel for it. I'm going to do the same for the Q11s in this video. I'm really hoping that you can pick up the difference in the low end between the two speakers, because it truly is night and day, and that is on top of, again, already a fantastic low end and a great speaker in the Q7. It's definitely, in my opinion, the biggest differentiator, the biggest difference maker. And if you're someone that's going to be using these in a big room, the Q11s are the go-to choice all day long, in my opinion. Because you've got that MAT technology and the Uni-Q driver, and all of this again has been pushed up a little bit further into the Q11 model, you really get that extra clarity, that extra quality in the sound. And I think that's never more evident than when you're listening at the higher volumes, where the Q11s really control everything incredibly well. That low end that I've touched upon becomes even more prominent. The staging, you really feel like you're being engulfed by the different sections of the songs, and you can really pick out the different instruments. I mean, when we listen to these speakers, we try and listen to a real variety of music, whether it's, you know, rock, jazz, classical, pop, whatever it might be, and you can almost pick out, it's particularly prevalent in the jazz music we're listening to, the different sections of the band and that kind of stuff, and it's a real 3D experience. So again, I cannot speak highly enough of the staging of these Q11s. It is absolutely outstanding. I've also never been more confident in saying that these are a pair of speakers that can handle music and AV really well. I think if you're someone that wants to use these in like a cinema room system, I don't even think you'd need to add in a subwoofer, because the low end is that fantastic that I think it by default, without adding in a subwoofer, would still give you those booms and bangs that you want when you're watching an action film, for example. I mean, the low end really is that good. I think if you're looking at comparisons to other speakers at a similar kind of price point, perhaps the likes of the Focal 936s, the Arias, perhaps the Proac DT8s, the KEF Q11 Metas still stand out really strongly. I think especially if you're someone that is looking to potentially use these for music and AV, then undoubtedly the Q11 would be the go-to choice. I think it's got a really well-rounded sound. The low end is phenomenal, as we've touched upon already. I do find that the Proacs are probably a little bit more musical. That's completely personal preference, but as an all-round speaker, the Q11 Metas probably take the cake here. I think another comparison that's going to be really interesting is a lot of people will potentially be looking at the Q11 Metas against the R11s. Now, the R11s, bear in mind, are £3,000 more expensive. We're talking the reference speaker in the range above the Q series range that KEF offer. And I touched upon this a little bit when I spoke about the Q7s. It astounds me how small the gap is between the R11 and the Q11. I think, yes, the R11 is the better speaker, and I'd love to be able to A/B them and play them next to each other. From when I've listened to them independently, the R11 is the better speaker, but the gap is just so much closer than you would ever expect, especially for a £3,000 price point. So, I mean, it really does show what's possible when you kind of trickle down the technology, as we say, from these reference speakers that KEF produce and bring them down. It really closes the gap more than you would imagine. I will include now what I mentioned earlier, the footage of the speakers playing. You'll just see some general B-roll footage of the speakers while the music's playing, but this is live recording of the Q11 Metas playing earlier today. I'll also include, someone asked me to do some, I think they're called a knuckle test, where you knock on the speaker to try and get a feel for the build quality. So I'll try and include that in this section for you guys as well. I think to summarise, I think KEF once again here have put together an absolute masterclass. I mean, we've said it time and time again. This combination of the Uni-Q and MAT technology just does not seem to miss. And for £2,000 here, you are getting a world-class speaker, in my opinion. A speaker that you could hold up against some that are way more expensive, and it would certainly hold its own. But I've seen in the comment section over the previous videos that you guys now, some of you are actually getting your hands on like the Q7s, the Concertos, potentially the Q11s as well. And I'd just love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below, not only on the Q11s, but exactly what KEF have managed to do with this new Q series as a whole, which seems to be, I don't use this word lightly, a revolutionary upgrade really. I mean, the sounds that they're managing to produce are blowing me away, and looking at the comment section, I think they're blowing some of you away as well. So do be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. That's just about going to wrap up this video, guys. If you did enjoy again, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe if you're new. Thank you again for all the fantastic support on the channel, and we'll see you all next week. We've actually got a couple of very new, exciting videos on new products coming in the next couple of weeks or so, all being well. So do make sure to stay tuned for that one, and we'll see you all there. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.